Hi guys, so I was teaching a guitar lesson the other day, and the guy I was teaching said that he'd been watching a video on YouTube of someone playing like improvised guitar solo, and then he said that they were using what looked like pentatonic shapes, but that it didn't sound pentatonic at all in the kind of classic kind of blues rock sound that a lot of us associate the pentatonic scale with. So we ended up looking at what's called pentatonic superimposition, which is essentially playing a minor pentatonic scale you can think of it as like in a different key to the actual chord that you're playing over the top of. So it made me think that, you know, why not do a quick YouTube video to kind of talk a little bit about this stuff. So I want to try and keep this as accessible as possible to kind of players of all levels. So I'm not going to go super deep into the theory side of it. I'm going to try to explain it in the context of playing over one chord. So you know there's one chord, you want to achieve the sound of this mode, so these are the pentatonic scales that you can play to achieve that sound. That's the route that I'm going to try and go with this video. There will be little bits of theory, so you know, if you're not too clued up on that stuff, you know, try and keep up with it, and maybe do some extra research on if there's any bits you're unsure of. But overall, I'm going to try and keep it fairly simple. So there is a link in the description. I've put together a couple of sheets where it's essentially like a table, and you've got the mode that you're trying to, you know, achieve the sound of. Then it tells you which pentatonic scales you can play to achieve the sound, and then also it tells you the intervals, like the actual notes that you are playing in relation to the chord or the mode. So yeah, definitely worth checking that out as well. That's going to be really useful to go along with this video. And also I strongly advise you know, checking that out, but also when you're practicing this stuff, try to think in terms of the intervals and the actual notes that you are playing. I think guitarists, we kind of have it easy in that a lot of things can be learned based on shapes and patterns on the fretboard, but you know, sometimes that can be a bit limiting if you neglect the other side of it, of actually learning like what intervals or what notes that you're actually playing. So I strongly advise when you're practicing that, try and think about that side of things as well. So yeah, we're just going to go through a few different examples in this video. I'm not going to go through like every single you know, option, because the video would be super long. But we're going to go through a few different ones. We're going to start with the Dorian mode. So typically we would use the Dorian mode when soloing over a minor 7 chord. So we're going to look at it in the context of an A minor 7 chord. So we've got our A minor 7 chord. So straight away, obviously, we know if we're playing over an A minor or in the key of A minor, we've got the A minor pentatonic that we can go to. Okay, so we've got the A minor pentatonic, which is the obvious choice. But we can also play a minor pentatonic scale starting from the 9th of the A minor chord. So whatever your minor chord is, if you start from the 9th, that's the pentatonic scale that you can use. So in this case it would be B minor pentatonic. So if we play that scale, that's going to outline the 9th, the 11th, the 5th, the 13th, and the root note of the A minor chord. And the important note there, which the note that's going to make it sound like the Dorian mode, is that 13th. If you think of it in terms of Dorian, that's the 6th note, the major 6th, which is what gives Dorian its sound. So if we try and highlight that, it's that note there, the F sharp. And then we can also use the minor pentatonic starting on the 5th note of the chord. So in A minor, that's going to be the E note. So if we play an E minor pentatonic, that's going to highlight our 5th at flat 7, the root, the 9th, and the 11th of the A minor chord. So I'm just going to put on a little loop and play a quick example of using those pentatonic scales over the top of an A minor chord. Okay, so now we're going to have a look at the Locrian mode. So typically we would use the Locrian mode when playing over a half diminished chord, or also known as a minor 7 flat 5 chord. So in this case, if we had an A minor 7 flat 5, then the pentatonic scales that we could play over the top would start on the flat 3rd of the chord. So that would give us C minor pentatonic. And we could also build a pentatonic scale starting on the flat 7th of the chord. So in this case, that would give us G minor pentatonic. So that C minor pentatonic is going to outline the flat 3, the flat 5, the flat 13, the flat 7, and the flat 9, which is pretty cool because we've got 3 of the chord tones there in the flat 3, flat 5, flat 7, and then we've got, if you looked at it in terms of the Locrian mode, we've got the flat 2, which is like the flat 9, and the flat 6, which is the flat 13. And then the G minor pentatonic, that will outline the flat 7, the flat 9, the flat 3, the 11th, and the root. And if we was to look at it in terms of like the Locrian mode itself, the flat 9 is the flat 2, and the 11th is the perfect 4th. Okay, so we're going to have a look at the Lydian mode next, which we could use the Lydian mode to play over a major 7 chord. So if we had an A major 7, then we could build a minor pentatonic scale starting on the 13th of the major 7 chord, which would be F sharp. So we would have an F sharp pentatonic. So okay, now that's essentially the relative minor of A major. F sharp minor is your relative minor. So what you're actually essentially playing there is an A major pentatonic scale, which is why that one works. So that's like kind of like the obvious choice though, similar to playing like A minor pentatonic over an A minor chord. But if we build a minor pentatonic scale starting on the third of the chord, so if we start on C sharp, that's going to outline the third, the fifth, the seventh and the ninth of the A major chord. And then if we play a minor pentatonic scale starting on the seventh of the chord, so if we're in A, that's going to be starting on the G sharp, then that's going to outline the seventh, the ninth, the third, the sharp 11th and the 13th. So we've got all the extensions there of the chord, but the important one is the sharp 11th. If we looked at that in terms of the Lydian scale, that's the sharp 4, and that's the note that gives Lydian its sound. So that sharp 4th there, so the D sharp there. Okay, so we'll just have a little look at some examples of that. I'll put a loop on again. Finally, for this video, we're going to have a look at the Mixolydian mode. So Mixolydian might be your scale of choice for soloing over a dominant 7th chord. So one option we've got is we can build a minor pentatonic starting on the 6th note again. So that's going to be our F sharp minor pentatonic, also known as the A major pentatonic. So that's like your safe option. But if we build a minor pentatonic starting from the 9th of the chord, which is B, so you would have a B minor pentatonic. That's going to highlight the 9th, the 11th, the 5th, the 13th and the root notes of the chord. Play that one more time. And then we can also build a minor pentatonic scale starting on the 5th of the chord. So in this case it will be an E. So if we've got E minor pentatonic, so that's going to highlight the 5th, the flat 7th, the root, the 9th and the 11th of the chord. And it's that flat 7 that really gives Mixolydian its sound, so that's a good choice if you want to highlight the flat 7th. Okay, so that's just a few examples there. Obviously I haven't gone through every single mode or every single pentatonic option, but like I say, that's why the link's in the description, where you can download a PDF and it's got a table with every mode of the major scale, with what pentatonic scales you can play to achieve the sound. So feel free to check that out. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the video anyway, and if you have, feel free to like and subscribe, check out some of my other videos perhaps. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll hopefully see you next time.